So, you want to join the Infernal Club, do you? Huh? Well, we're an unusual bunch, but we all are drawn together by our love of the occult. Hello and welcome to the Friday Fantasy Show from the Bottled Imp, exploring the realms of fantasy. My name is Ken Boyter and today we're going to be looking at this little card game called Ghost Hunter Spirits. It's designed by Kedrick Winks and the artwork is by, and I'm going to have to look over to see my notes, Augustinus Raginskis. Yes, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. This is a little set collecting game for 2 to 6 players. Takes about 10 to 30 minutes depending on the number of players. And it's all about collecting and capturing the spirits. So, let's go ghost busting. What is the setting for Ghost Hunter Spirits? Well, you players are new members of a kind of secret club called the Infernal Club, and you're into the occult, you're into paranormal activities, and so obviously you're going to want a bit of action. Now this spirit deck there's the notorious Blackmoor House, and you're off to capture the spirits. But how do you do it? Well, the aim of the game is to set collect basically, and the winner is the person at the end of the game with the highest score, the number of points, so it's victory points. But be warned, the game ends when all the cards have run through, so the deck has run through, and also your exit cards, but I'll explain that in a second, have run through. So it's basically the first person to have no cards left ends the game. But players who have cards left in their hand, either in their hand or in the exit deck, they actually minus scores. So you obviously don't want to be caught with any cards in your hand or your exit deck. So, what's the setup? It's pretty simple. There are 52 cards in this deck, plus they have 2 little rules cards that will be explaining the rules. So the rules fit nicely onto just 2 cards. And what you do is I've set up for a 2-player game, so it's 2 to 6 players. And basically you will be shuffling the deck to begin with. You shuffle the cards, and then you'll be dealing out 5 cards to each player that form their exit cards. So you do it this way. You have 3 that are going to be face down for each player, and you're going to have 2 that are face up for each player, because that adds a little bit of excitement, because you don't know that what your cards are, obviously that are face down during the game, so you don't know if you've got a low number or a high number. So what happens is players take turn. Yes, you have to, so once you've shuffled the deck, after the you shuffle the deck, you deal out there, you'll be dealing 3 cards to each player. So obviously in a 2-player game there's going to be 6 more cards that are dealt. Then these are your hands. These are secret. They're going to be in your hand. No one else can see them apart from you. So this is going to be, for example, the other player's hand. Obviously I wouldn't be seeing that. This is just for the demonstration purposes. And then what you do is each player will be taking in turns laying higher and higher cards. That is how the game plays out. So you can decide who goes first. It could be, there's no actual rules that state who goes first, so it could be that, whoever saw a ghost first or last, or if there's a ghost in the room now, can you see it? However you want to decide, maybe arm wrestle, or maybe just roll some dice. Anyway, player 1 goes first, and they'll be laying a card. Now you've got 2 types of different cards. I'll just show you them quickly. You've got cards that are numbered. They'll have a number in the corner. This one happens to be 9. They are numbered 0 to 10. So there's 0 to 10. Plus there are cards that have the affinity symbol in the corner, and they can be laid over any card. Now what you have to do is, so for example, now I've got high cards, so which is a bit tough to begin with. But say for example I had a 1, the player that goes first would just simply lay a 1. Now the next player has to lay either a 1 or a higher card. And you can lay 2 cards if you like, obviously it has to be a set or a run. So you could lay a 2 and a 3, or a 4 and a 5, etc., etc. Or you could lay 2 4s, or 3, or 2 3s, or even 3 3s. But if you lay a set of 3 or a run of 3, then you capture the deck, and that is how you score. So, for example, if I had a 2, then obviously I could lay that because it's equal or higher than the card already played before me. And if it was my go again and I had a 9, obviously a 9 is higher than a 2. But then things get interesting because the only thing you could play would be a 9, a 10, or an infinity card. Now, infinity cards all have special abilities on them. They're written in the middle of the card. So, for example, this one is called Doppelganger. Treat this card as the card that it is played on. So obviously you would say, well, that's going to be a 9. So therefore the next player would play a 9. But what you have to also do with the infinity, there are different infinity cards. So for example, this one is a Spectre, and this one says anything can be played on this card. So maybe I got that wrong. Maybe it's not a 9. Maybe that still is an infinity card for when someone plays it. Now, because there are different infinity cards, what you have to do is you then have to lay the same card, infinity card, apart from this infinity card which says anything can be laid on that. So again, you could lay anything on that. So you have to look out for the little special abilities. But if, for example, somebody was to play an infinity card like this one that says capture the stack, then if you wanted to play 2 or more of these, you'd have to play the exact one that said vortex. Whereas obviously if you're playing a 10 and a 10, then yeah, that's easy to comprehend. So you can't just play any infinity card over another infinity card. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So how do you capture the cards, the stack? Because that's where you're going to be scoring. Well, if you do have a special infinity card like this one, that's simple. You just capture the stack, and what you do is you will take everything that's in the stack that's been built up and you put it into your own little capture the stack pile just to the side of your cards. Then what that means is, at the end of the game, that is your scoring stack. But if you have got any cards left in your hand or your exit deck as well, then you minus those scores and you get 10 points for infinity and you get 1 point for all the other cards. So they're worth 1 point each. So obviously the infinity cards are the cards you really want to be collecting. So say, for example, you're laying the cards and you want to capture it in a different way, because obviously there's not that many of those vortex cards. What you'll be doing is you'll be laying sets and runs. So as soon as you lay a 3 set or 3 card run, that's when you'll be capturing it. So say, for example, there's a nice little deck that's been built up, a little stack there, and let's say these were 3 3s, and there was a 2 there. You could say, well, 3 is obviously going to be higher than a 2. I'm going to capture that deck. So what I do is I'd lay all my 3s there, and then I would simply take the deck and put it to one side. The other way is obviously a run. So again, you could have 4 5 or 6, 6 7 8, obviously 8 9 10, or you could have 3 of the same infinity cards, and that captures the deck and you put it into your little side deck. The other way that the deck in the middle gets distributed is if you can't go. So for example, if a 9 was laid and I only had a 1, 2 and a 0 in my hand, then obviously I wouldn't be able to lay equal or higher. Therefore I'd then have to pick up all the cards from the deck in the middle, from the stack, and put them into my own hand. So you can end up with more than 3 cards in your hand, which is sometimes a good thing because then obviously it's easier to make a set or a run. But obviously remember, if the other player's getting low on their cards and the deck's running low and then they get rid of all their cards, then you could be caught with a lot of cards in your hands. And remember, any cards in your hand or your exit deck will minus your score at the end, so that's not a good thing. So there's a bit of a balancing act between having lots of cards in your hand so you can try and capture the deck, the stack, or by not having a lot in there. So obviously if the other player does get rid of all their cards, then you're not going to lose too much of your score. If you capture the deck, then what you do is you get the privilege of also going next, so you would start the stack off again. Now some cards might be harder to get rid of. Obviously a 1 and a 0 are going to be harder to get rid of, so you might want to be laying those. If, for example, you don't go or you can't go, then, as I say, you have to take the deck. Then it's the other player that then first starts the actual round again. Another little rule is you always have to have 3 cards in your hand. So say you get down to, you've only got 3 and you lay one, you immediately take another card to build that back up to 3. The other thing is that the special abilities on each card, they actually activate immediately. So as soon as you play it, you do what it says on the card. Now what happens when the deck runs out, they're either going to be captured or they're going to be sitting in someone's hand. If there's no more deck to be drawn from, you then start going through your exit cards. So then you'll decide which one you want to pick. Now 2 of them you will already know. So you go, actually that's an infinity one, that's a capture the stack. I'm going to play that straight away because there was a nice lot of cards in the middle. Brilliant, that gets me out of that. Then what you do is you will then lay another one of your cards. Now you might want to risk it and pick one up and go, okay, well that was a 5, and this one says the next card must be 5 or lower. So that's quite a good one because you might not know obviously what the other player has and they might not be able to go, and then they'd have to take that card. And then once the one player has played all of their exit cards, and there you go. Now it could be that you've managed to capture it again, or that they are left with these cards in their hand. Then that is the end of the game. And then you simply tottle up your that's a nice word, tottle, let's go for that. Tottle up your score, and as I say, you score by the ones that have got 0 to 10 on the card. They will actually score 1 point. And any of the infinity cards, which are the ones obviously with the little infinity symbol next to them, they will be scoring 10 points. So you minus any that you have in your hand or in your exit deck from your captured deck. And that is how you play, and obviously the person with the highest score wins. I played it with 3 players, very, very enjoyable, very entertaining, it's quick to learn, you could even learn whilst you're playing the game, you don't necessarily need to know all the rules. If someone just starts playing it and starts demoing it to you, you can pick it up very quickly. It's got that nice sweet spot of not too strategic but has that fun, but then enough strategy to actually make it a worthwhile game that you can sink your teeth into. And what I also like about it is I love the artwork. The artwork is superb, really lovely artwork. It's quirky, a bit kooky, a bit quirky, very macabre, I like that. Gorgeous, and the nice colour is just themed blue. It's nice, classy kind of artwork, and the backs of the cards are beautiful as well. Got that nice occult theme running through it. That's kind of the theme that you're meant to be part of this Infernal Club. And I also like the fact that it's got that sort of take that aspect to it, so you can monkey with the game in small ways. So for example, there might be a card that says reverse the order, and obviously if it's a 2-player game, you would just get an extra go, and obviously if if it's a 3 or 4, 6-player game, then obviously once you reverse the order, that could at the right time that can certainly mess with other people's plans. Plus there are cards that give you special abilities, so that's really cool. So you can actually rather than monkey with other people's playing strategy, you can obviously improve your own. So again, it's got that nice balance, and some cards don't have anything about it, so you just you play them as normal, and it's got that nice balance, as I say, between just enough strategy but obviously not enough to bog it down. This is a nice little filler game. I totally recommend this. Plus it's a standalone game, but they also have other decks in the series. This one's vampires, there's also witches, which are really cool. I like the idea of witches. And there is this one, which is monsters. And they've each got their little different colours. So you've got green, red and orange. And they have just done an angels and demon deck as well that was successfully funded on Kickstarter. And each of these decks can be compatible. You can integrate cards into the deck. So you don't just have to play with spirits. You can say, you can mix any cards from any deck and build a new deck. So obviously there might be some special abilities in the spirits that you don't really like, or you think, well, actually maybe that messes up the game too much, who knows. And you can then just mix and match, and obviously it keeps things fresh. So I really like that idea, because each different deck has different mechanics, the different special abilities. So I think they've done a really good job with this. Looking forward to playing, you know, the Angels and Demons one, and also to crack open these bad boys, because I've not even played with these decks yet. So there you go, that was Ghost Hunter Spirit deck. Thoroughly recommend that. Go capture some spirits. Ghost Hunter Spirits deck. Yes, you too can be a member of the infamous Infernal Club. A lot of fun, it's perfect. If you want a quick game, crack open this bad boy. And I'm sure the other decks in this series are just as much fun. Thank you so much for watching. We do have a news show every Wednesday. Yes, it's imaginatively titled The Fancy News Show. Check that out every Wednesday. Until next time, remember to keep it unreal, especially if you capture